What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another episode of the Konshu Show. Today's topic is, why is everything just getting worse? Well, it seems to be on purpose, or allegedly. So let's lock in on what the actual things are, all that fun stuff. But a simple question out to you as we start off. Have you noticed that everything feels like it's getting worse? I don't know about you, but when I use technology, it felt like it just worked and we were just waiting for it to do that extra feature. Now it feels like those features that we expect don't quite ever work right, or they work kind of partly, or, just this half-efforted piece of information that you want from, say, like a speaker like Siri, or, just using a website should make sense and it seems like it's crazy. You know how apps are slower, products are flimsier, customer service is nearly impossible, especially with the automation. But this isn't nostalgia. It's not bad luck, and it's not incompetence. But let's keep it off for a little bit. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why this is happening, and you won't be able to unsee it. Okay? So when we're talking about things that kind of don't work, I like to give personal examples, right? And the biggest recent example I have is the weirdness behind, say, for example, Siri. Now, I have a lot of Apple products at my house. I used to have Google, but Google started failing me with a long, drawn-out story. We're not going to go into that today. But essentially, it felt weird that as time has gone by, it feels like Apple's products have just slowly gotten worse, very specifically Siri, right? When you ask it to do stuff, it doesn't quite understand, or it picks the wrong thing. From voice to text, it seems to write the wrong words down, and then sometimes it corrects them, sometimes it doesn't, all bringing out kind of a weird place and things. And then you also notice how everything seems to have this subscription feature now, and worse than that, it has this subscription creep. Oh, this month you're paying that much, and then 6 months later you're paying $1 more, and $1 more, and $1 more, while the quality or even solutions such as like videos get worse and worse. It's like, oh, thanks for the additional 6 months of garbage content that you've created, or maybe you lost a licensing and now you have less content, but you're charging me more. Freaking hate that, don't you? So why doesn't this type of stuff feel finished anymore? Why does our products still feel like they're decaying, that technology is getting worse? Why do updates feel like they're downgrades? It's kind of like everything feels like it's designed to almost work. You know what I'm saying? Now, we've heard businesses give the usual common excuses. Well, it's inflation. We got to raise the prices. Or it's a supply chain issue. You can only use that excuse so long. And it's just complicated tech, they say, for AI or enhancing automation. You can kind of really not use that one forever either. I mean, I've used other products and they seem to understand me just fine. In the case of Siri, it just is retarded. But let's, kind of explain it a little bit more. That doesn't explain why the problems are so consistent lately. So let's talk about that optimization of culture. That is the thing that technology is driving culture, and we're talking about companies leveraging engagement metrics, cost reduction targets, shareholder first designs. All of these are big key phrases in the business world, but what does it mean for us? What does that mean to be a product that is shareholder first? That means that while you may be a customer to this larger product, the shareholder may think of, well, this could drive revenue better. So maybe that quality of life user experience thing comes second seat to something a shareholder would want. Or let's say cost reduction targets. Oh, we need to reduce costs, so we might take this feature out that is metrically less used, right? Like they look at a metric and go, well, we're not really using this feature, so why don't we just get rid of it? While some people really felt that that feature was maybe not always needed, but great to have when you did. And sometimes they just remove a feature that you want to keep in general, and most people agree, and it still disappears anyways because it was expensive to operate. Especially as we dig more deeper into AI, cost and effectiveness is going to play a huge part as well as profit margins starting to tighten with all the different inflation expenses. Now, engagement metrics is kind of another piece out there, is that, for example, social media seems clunkier now because we have this weird obsession with engagement metrics. Why have good, boring content that, I mean, I say boring, it's not boring, but, just normal human interaction conversations that may not get you 1.3 million views, but is a good conversation. Instead, everything is driven to make as much engagement as possible. If you click on it, it's going to feed you more of that type of stuff, and it just keeps feeding you on the platform longer and longer. And so you don't have social apps designed to keep you scrolling. Well, I guess technically they're designed to keep you scrolling, but not in a happy fashion. They're just driving whatever metric they can. So if you're feeding on hate, for example, is the number one big one right now, it's going to keep feeding you hate. If you see disagreements, it's going to keep feeding you disagreements. And it creates this weird social normativity, or whatever you want to call the word, where people just start to adapting to always being angry about something, when it's really just the continual life cycle circle of being recommended based on metrics in your social network. And then, your social software just not being good enough, right? Like, we have tons of complaints. Let's just bully on X for a minute. There are tons of features that a lot of people would love to recommend and have, but it doesn't really provide anything good, or it's never good enough. Like, I'm sure X has done a great job implementing some really good spam protection. However, at the end of the day, when we're talking about spam protection, we all can see it still happening. We can still see the adult bots, the crypto ones, whatever the case may be, we can still see them. And unfortunately, to us at least, it seems like, well, it wasn't good enough what you did, but maybe they did do a lot. It just, the market's fast, and whoever's fastest wins. But let's talk about something else that I really don't like, and that is that the friction is intentional. And this is kind of the spike of our conversation. If you think about it, it feels like there's an intentional forcing of a conflict or uncomfortableness. Think about it. Like, you think cancel buttons are hidden now, unsubscribes are nested. Things get harder to just deny or walk away from. Even in platforms such as Twitter or X, however you want to call it, blocking someone doesn't entirely mean blocking them from your life, but just blocking your view of seeing them, so they can still see your content and potentially, deal with stuff outside of that, which, brings a whole lot of like safety, privacy, and all that kind of concerns. But it's just example. Let's talk about like your video streaming service subscription. Canceling is harder to do. Oh, you accidentally want to try, well, not accidentally, but you try some like silly service online, right? And you're like, okay, the trial's over. How do I cancel this? Instead of having a cancellation button, it's like, you must call this one line during these very obscure hours. And oh, by the way, you're going to automatically be on hold for like an hour, and they're going to play the most annoying music that's humanly possible. I think most of you could relate to something like that. And then the downgrading. So they'll take features out of products. This is one of my hates. If you take out a good feature, I'm going to bully for it. Most recently, YouTube was removing the sort by date option. They are one of the largest, or at least claim to be the largest, search engine on the internet. Yes, they're a search engine more for videos, but people still use it kind of like Google and search for content. So when you're talking about the world's largest search engine who removes a sort by date thing, which I think any search engine would want to have a sort by date, that seems like, oh, it's an update. We just improved this for whatever optimization, but it's like, it's a downgrade disguised as an update. That's weird. But yeah, friction reduces churn, but it's not enough, right? It's confusing people on how to remove themselves from a thing just prevents mass exits, and it seems like it's a safety mechanism to kind of prevent people from doing, or I shouldn't say people, but companies from doing good and just saying, make a great product that people don't want to leave, instead of forcing them in an uncomfortable position where they have to stay. But But, I mean, let's be real. I mean, you can tell that I'm obviously got a lot on my mind. I'm speaking pretty fast, and I'm just kind of throwing a bunch of stuff at you today for today's show. But, I mean, let's talk about it, right? You get decision fatigue. Decision fatigue ends up where we're kind of like going back and forth on what is good, what is bad. An example of Android versus iPhone, I mean, everybody has their favorite, but when you start looking at things that you loved and then you had to turn your head because something bad happened, some feature got downgraded, or a lot of things important to you got downgraded or changed, in my case with Google to Apple, it definitely fatigues you when you then, 5 years later are having to go, well, these features all bother me. They feel like downgrades. Should I turn back? Or let's look at streaming services, right? Oh, this person's cheaper, commercial free for the price I pay, which is amazing. And then they increase the price and they creep the price and they creep the price to the point where you're like, why did I cancel my cable service? All these things feel like a fatigue of just like going back and forth. Like, why don't we just go back to the way it was? I'm sure you've sat there, haven't you? Let me know in the comments if you've ever sat there and gone like, I just wish we could go back to the way it was. What, the 90s or something like that, where everything was like just coming out, offering the best deals competitively and really pushing innovation. I think that's when it is, but let me know in the comments if you think it was some other time. Also, it kind of brings some unfortunate consequences to everybody, really. I was going to say older people, but let's be real, I've had it too, where you just kind of feel stupid when your tech doesn't work, right? Like, have you ever had something go like, hey, XYZ voice prompt system, do this reminder for me, and it writes down something gibberish or something completely wrong, and then when you get the announcement, you're like, wow, was I drunk when I wrote this? Kind of makes you feel stupid for it not working right or typing wrong. Or when, you're trying to use a product and the the user experience is a little wonky, a little janked, and you're trying to figure out how to do it. And you feel like, man, am I getting old? Am I not knowing how to navigate this thing anymore? And it's weird because it's like, oh man, you're feeling stupid because it's just not working. Not because you're any sort of way. And that kind of puts you in a loop, if you will, of learned helplessness. This stuff drains you slowly over time, but not all at once. It's just consistently. It's like the grains of sand build a heap. Eventually, all these little pieces of things not working give you massive fatigue and helplessness over our technologically advanced society. But I guess the next obvious question in the room, right, is why is nobody fixing it? Well, let's be real about it. Let's have that adult conversation, right? Fixing these things costs money. And, whether you're retraining a model, AI, it's expensive. Whether agreeing that the right minds of the right tasks at the right time can get it done. Maybe your company has different priorities and they already have 2 years planned out, and this feature that they messed up, its time's come and gone. But let's talk more realistically with companies as well. Making it better doesn't always increase profit. And when you're looking at stakeholders and companies driven by profit, you may end up in a case where just making it better is cool. It creates a great user happiness story, but so what? You didn't gain any money from it. You just spent a bunch of money on programmers, on features, dev tests, instances of servers, whatever the case may be. You didn't gain any money. You actually lost money making this feature. So why do it? And let's be real, on the other side of the coin, away from businesses, people, users don't really complain all the time, but when they do, they just complain. They don't leave. Now, sure, we see instances where people will move to another social platform for a little while, but let's be real, the vast majority have come back, so there's really no long-term incentive. They see a short-term bump that normally ends in people coming back, not in all cases, but more frequent cases when something comes around. And you got to really keep in the back of your mind why nobody fixes it as far as companies go is because at the end of the day, if the metrics, the growth optics, the quarterly wins don't match the desire of the users or the problem, then why fix it? Businesses may either not see it in the metrics or simply don't care because it doesn't produce any metrics that are notable to brag about, whether it's cost savings, whether it's XYZ for production. If it doesn't do any of that, the companies just don't care. So it's not always that the companies are evil, as some people like to put. Well, some of them feel like it. They're just not incentivized to do these things and make these changes accordingly. So when we're coming back to the whole idea of how to fight back without, quitting all of society or giving up technology and say, F the AI, F the home automation, screw streaming services, go the pirate way, we should probably talk about empowering our ideas and don't doom scroll or whatever the whole thing as you kind of slowly spiral into insanity. Practice the mindset shifts. You could kind of go the route of, instead of streaming, maybe start going back to owning your video content. Maybe pay for simplicity when it matters. I know a lot of us moved over to streaming services when it was simple and cheap. Having those large video collections of DVDs lining the, Blu-rays too, I guess, or for those of you who are older, VHS, lining bookshelves to take up space. But sometimes maybe just paying for the simplicity of a streaming service is the route to go, or maybe owning it is. Also, be easy on yourself. Like, I know I've had to kind of tell myself, I'm not dumb, I'm not retarded, I can do technology. When I look at something break and I'm like, why is this way? Or audio bugs I have and I'm like, why did all these settings get kind of janked up when it was really just Windows poor updates that were messing with the system? So yeah, just stop blaming yourself for bad systems or bad mechanics. And when you want to blame something, look at positive feedback, right? Like, let's talk more to companies as a serious society, not a vitriol society, because that, even if we just take out of the corporate giant vibe of it, an engineer at the other end, or a UX expert who's looking at your comment going, well, that's my job technically to fix, is not going to take in some vitriol as well as saying, hey, look, this is what I see. This is what I hate about your product. This is what I would love to see to make it work better. If more of us got behind these viral tweets instead of worrying about the metrics, I think we could actually improve a lot of good things. But that's just happy-go-lucky me, I guess, positively. I'm not always happy and perfectly lucky, man. There's definitely been some internet rants I have gone on the internet. But generally speaking, if something feels harder than it should be, it probably is. So just keep that in mind. But now that we've talked about it, I guess at the end of the day, once you start seeing systems like this and little UX bugs, you start noticing them everywhere, and you feel like a micro, a connoisseur of UX bugs, problems, and you just start to see things that are like, why is it that way? So kind of think about that. Let me know in the comments what major tech features out there in the world actually bother the crap out of you. Like, things that you're like, why is this something that mentally feels so easy to fix is not fixed, and why am I having so much problems with it? Wow, did I just totally just shut off my words there? Anyways, it's good to be back on the podcast. Again, this is the Konshu Show. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening, watching, or wherever. If you happen to be on YouTube, make sure you like this. If you're on Spotify, share this with a friend if you thought the content was good. Otherwise, it's good to be back. 2026, we're going to be hitting it a lot harder. So that's it. Peace out.